Hello everyone and welcome to our episode of Showcase on Warframe. This week's weapon? Glaxion. I think that's how it's pronounced. I can barely care. Anyhow, if you took a flamethrower and made it in reverse, what would you get? Well, you get a freeze beam. That's what the Glaxion is in, I guess, design and concept. It's the flamethrower in reverse. You know, with a flame, you have a freeze beam that freezes enemies solid. So pretty cool. So, in terms of stats, you can see we got about 100 accuracy, which is expected. Critical chance, non-existent pretty much. Fire rate though is a whopping 20. And magazine, boom, 300. But with that fire rate, it won't last. Yeah. Reload is pretty quick at 1.5, and the status is staggeringly high at 35% per second. So this thing has a high fire rate. If it wasn't just per unit of ammo, this thing would be overpowered. And as you see, it's 16.6 cold, since they buffed it a little while back. At least double the damage. Alright, when you find this, you go into your dojo, go to your energy lab, and you'll find it, I think it goes on the 4th row, or 5th, around there. And you'll find it there, and it's relatively cheap to build. You got about 20,000 credits, 1 Feldrium, which is really weird. Most weapons require multiple. About 500 some circuits, 2,500 chaotic, which isn't too bad, and 1 Forma. So yeah. Pretty low barrier of entry in terms of building it, but you still need to be Master Rank 6, I recall. Odd. Now going to a visual, this one looks weird. Like, really weird. Okay, first you got the barrel, all the pull barrels assembly here. And you got this kind of guide rails. It's neat and all. And you can clearly tell how it's going to work. But yet that won't make sense later on, as I'll show you. But other than that, you got the weird assembly on the back end, which is the revolving barrel, or you know, like I could say the receiver. Yeah. See, that rotates, which is weird. The thing looks awkward to hold because it's just built in all right angles. But anyway, here it is when you fire it. So remember what I said, it makes sense the barrel, and then it doesn't make sense when you see it? This is why. So your beam magically comes out just at the end of the weapon. As a little side note, it is true that every snowflake is unique. D took this as a literal sense since I look at all these snowflakes and all of them are different. Very nice little touch. Such as it comes as a particle effect and disappear very quickly. So it's very neat. So you can follow the beam. I forgot to leave my split chamber on, but it makes little difference if I have 2 beams or 1. They kind of join together regardless. And you see at the maximum range here. Yeah, there's a maximum range on this and it isn't that far. So, you can see that you can go through your ammo quite quickly, but the contact is a split second. It doesn't take very long to get there though, but you can go through the ammo quick. Like, look at that. So yes, we have 1500 ammo reserve, which is the highest magazine and the highest ammo reserve of any weapon, I think. If not the highest, if not one of the highest, but it makes a little difference because you go through the ammo like crazy. The range is at this guy. Oh, I can't hit the person behind him. And you can see there, 26, 25, and you'll see right there at the maximum length of 24 meters. Not short, but it is limiting. But oh well. Alright, going on to my ultimate build, which I don't even consider this a proper ultimate build. I call this maximum damage build. Because you need to lower the fire rate to make this thing more viable if you plan to use it, but in doing so you butcher the damage that you could be doing. Anyhow, I'll just move on, and you can see I got good 250 radiation and 270 viral. That's all I got out of this sucker. With 94% status per second. So you're guaranteed to hit that status every second. Otherwise, I didn't touch the magazine, I didn't touch the fire rate, definitely didn't want to increase the fire rate. Oh no. No. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that at all. In fact, the thing you want to do is lower the fire rate, but I tried that, and where I'll be fighting level 85s as a test, I had to jump it down to level 65s when I did. So it's kind of your choice in that regard. So I went to the ultimate damage. And the rifle mutation just barely holds this gun together. Otherwise you get the double elements and status chance, restoration, prime crowd rounds, split chamber for damage. My rivet mod, I only had to roll it once thankfully. You get heat and electricity. And it's like, okay, 2 elements that are moderately powerful, good enough. Fire rate, or I mean the reload speed, plus 52%. Is pretty good, but it's not really needed. It just drops my 1.5 reload speed down to a second, which is okay, but again, not really needed. Okay, I'll go in some enemies here in a test. Get around 12, as I mentioned earlier, a little bit, putting them to level 85. If I didn't have those mods, it would be a lot lower. Alright. Now, I didn't put... This weapon could benefit from a bit of punch through, but I'm not going to really use this weapon against the infestation. It could benefit from punch through, but that's a very limited punch through. Because those enemies have to be relatively closer to you. As you see, it kills them moderately quickly as you hit him in the head. If you don't hit him in the head, not so quick. But you've also noticed that enemies are turning blue in certain places on them. That's because even if they're just the strongest enemy and you probably can't kill them, you may be able to freeze them. May. Yeah, I say that, but I tried on heavier opponents and it's quite difficult to fully freeze opponents solid. You gotta kind of hit multiple parts of them. And even then, when you don't really succeed to, those parts eventually, you know, melt and they go back to normal. So easier said than done. This weapon's not viable. You can see it, and I can see it. I burn through ammo so quickly in this weapon that you can't use it long in any firefight. It's amusing, yes. But does it have the damage there? Barely. Does it have the resources to maintain that damage? No. Like I said, you have to lower the fire rate to make this viable. Doesn't matter. The Grenadier did alright job. I mean, the Corpus does pretty good. You can see my radiation kicks in pretty much immediately and start fighting them out against each other, which is really good. But still, this is not really a crowd control weapon. It isn't the 25 meter or 24 meter range. It isn't quite there. Like, in terms you want long range, and we get the Plains of Island, what the PC already has it. But this weapon's going to be the top 5 most useless weapons on that play area by far. Because that range. Just, Warframe is no longer a place for weapons with limited range, in my opinion. Alright, we'll go against some Chargers, which arguably is probably the worst enemies to fight this weapon because they don't really punch through. This is where would punch through would serve the best. Because these guys like to get close. But I find it a bit of a moot point because even so, you still won't be able to maintain the ammo to fight these guys. Level 85, as you see, it can't go any higher. Lowering the fire rate means lowering the damage and the amount of opponents you can actually fight with this thing in terms of level base. It's just, even with the buff they gave this weapon got a double damage buff a few months prior. Before that, this weapon was absolute crap. Now it's just barely usable. So against the strongest opponent in the game, when you could froze him solid, I tried. This is my second attempt fighting him, so I went straight to the head this time. And yeah, it doesn't really do much damage. Let's move on to the score. Moving on to the pros and cons of the Glaxion. On the pros, it is a neat idea of a freeze beam, which there's only one of its kind, and I think actually it's the first cold weapon created, if I'm not mistaken. So it's neat. And it can freeze enemies completely solid, which is also cool. Which bypasses levels, but that's incredibly difficult to do. Well, not incredibly, but difficult. Going on the cons, it has the worst ammo economy, I think, in this game. The damage isn't that great. Yeah. Just isn't overall that great of a weapon. But anyway, let's move on to the score for the Glaxion. Damage, I'm going to give it 6 out of 10. The DPS certainly is there, but... And with the elements it can do some damage, but the weapon's not viable that way. Now, for range instead of accuracy, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. 25 meters is okay, but in large environments, this weapon becomes incredibly useless. Design, a 3 out of 10. Great idea on paper, but poorly executed with the amount of how much ammo you burn with this weapon. The ungodly amount of ammo. Speaking of which, ammo gets a 1 out of 10. Worst ammo economy in the game. Doesn't matter, you get 1,800 units of ammo, you're not going to last long. Rifle and Mutations, not going to do anything. You gotta lower that fire rate, and then that goes everything else out the window. Miscellaneous, I'm gonna give a 5 out of 10. It's alright idea. It can be used at lower levels, but this weapon's not really meant for very many people, if anyone. So I'll give it a little bit of mercy point there, but it makes a little difference. So in total, the Glaxion gets 19 out of 50. It's a bad weapon. Truly it is. The flamethrower is excellent. This weapon, not so much. The reverse of a flamethrower. Flamethrower is good, Glaxion's bad. Well look, another judgment portion that doesn't actually need to be here. So yeah, I'll say it all over again. The weapon's not that great, it's not worth it. In order to make this thing even functional in combat, you need to lower the fire rate. That means taking slots away from your damage. You could increase the magazine capacity if you want, but that doesn't increase your ammo pool, so you'll still go through the ammo just as quickly. It's like no matter what you do, this weapon just burns you. Frostburn. Horrible joke to go with a horrible weapon. I think we're done here. Thank you all for watching. Hope to see you guys next time. Take care out there.